Well, for more on this and other international matters, I'm joined in studio by SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena. Thank you very much for joining us, Sophie. So, of course, very moving that interview there that Pimani did, where we get to really feel the human impact of this devastation that's taken place in the DRC. Has there been any word from the Rwandan government since they have been accused of supporting the M23 rebels?
Well, the Rwandan government actually responded to statements made yesterday in the Security Council saying that many countries have missed the point in terms of what is the cause and the nature of this conflict, and also indicating that DRC must take responsibility for failure to ensure that it does include all people in that country as part of a nation, one nation, and therefore creating these problems. But above all, hosting the people who are accused of having committed the genocide 30 years ago in the DRC. And before I came in, we saw some reports that there has been heavy firing to Rwanda, and Rwanda is saying these are the people that they are talking about, those who fled after committing genocide in Rwanda. And therefore you can see that this situation is quite tense and very, very dangerous. But we know that the president of Kenya, who is the chair of the East Africa community, you know that DRC is a member of EAC and also SADC, has called an emergency meeting last night, and that meeting has to happen in 48 hours. He spoke to both leaders, Paul Kagame and Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC, and they've both agreed. But you know, you'll believe when they are there and talking, because tomorrow, who knows, they might say no, because of security, so and so didn't pitch. At the same time, people are calling on the president of Angola to push all stakeholders to start or to continue with the Rwanda process. And that's the call that was made at the Security Council. But when we look at the visuals, you can see that the M23 rebels and other groups have already arrived in Goma, and we saw them meeting people in the streets, but firing is continuing. On the other hand, we saw some of the soldiers who were fighting side by side with the military of Congo, DRC, moving into the border of Rwanda, surrendering, and I don't know where are they going to be taken to, and we see international community leaving that region.
Yeah, it's worrying that you say that a meeting has to happen in 48 hours. I mean, a lot can happen in 48 hours' time. But let's move to Gaza now. I mean, we see that Israel has agreed for displaced Palestinians to return to northern Gaza. Is that passage safe?
Well, the Israeli Defense Force has moved to the outskirts of Gaza border and territory. And therefore, there's hope that there won't be firing or drones used to attack these people going back home. As you can see, I mean, it's an indictment to the entire international community.
Yeah, for the benefit of the viewers, these are live visuals that Sophie is speaking to. This is happening right now. These people are walking several kilometers, thousands of kilometers maybe, to get to where they need to get to, or hundreds of kilometers to get home to the northern part of Gaza. Sorry, Sophie.
Yes, you are correct. And when you look at these visuals, you can see the desperation, the elderly, the children. We don't know how long are they going to walk. And when they arrive where they were, their homes are not there. There's no food, there's no security, there's no shelter. This is an indictment to the entire international community. You see similar visuals in the DRC. Women and children trying to seek shelter at this critical time when, you know, there's firing in the eastern part of the DRC. So this is the problem that Antonio Guterres was talking about, that at this moment, the leadership globally is not there, and ordinary citizens of the world are on their own.
So the issue of the humanitarian crisis is a massive one. You've touched on it, obviously. But, you know, what is happening in that regard? We did hear of good progress at the beginning of the ceasefire. Has that consistently remained the case since?
There is delivery, but people would argue that there's not enough delivery because of the nature of the crisis. As you can see, those are thousands and thousands of people. But later today, we expect the United Nations to give a briefing in terms of humanitarian corridor and the supply to people in Gaza. And we will bring our viewers that information. Sharon Bryce-Pease at the UN will be doing that story. We'll get a better sense from the UN, the nature of the crisis in terms of humanitarian delivery. We know that the trucks are there, but if you were to move a truck, when you look at the number of people here, how do you do it? And therefore, it's a terrible situation.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for that. These are devastating visuals indeed, as they carry whatever little that they have to try and get back home. Like you say, possibly to no home at all that's been, been reduced to rubble. That was Sophie Mokoena. She's our international news editor here at the SABC.